Hi everyone, my name is Michelle and I'm Mama Loves You GB here on FlossTube, but also over on Instagram and Etsy as well. Welcome to the Sunday morning briefing. This is episode number 193 and it's the 25th of May 2025. Now it is a very long time since I've known both of those pieces of information because I have decided that I need to keep all of my FlossTube notes in a single book. No more backs of envelopes, no more sticky notes, it's got to go in a book. I need to keep track of things, especially giveaway winners, so that they don't have to send me an email and remind me to send them something. So apologies, Lynn, but hopefully it's all sorted now. Right, now I am very, very close to 14,000 subscribers. Now I don't talk about subscriber numbers very often, but when I get close to a boundary, I just like to remind you, or perhaps you might like to hit the like button and subscribe, especially if you're here and your name is not already down on the register. That would be really, really great. Thank you. Right, I've got a lot to show you today. I also don't seem to have my own teeth in. Very odd. A lot to show you today. Some other finishes, things that I've been working on, a couple more boxes. Actually, let's start with that. I have had the most phenomenal reaction to my finish of the Blue Flowers Sleeping Bee box. I think the last finished piece that I got that got sort of like this level of reaction was the Santas in the windows. So yes, this is the finish, and I had brought down a couple of other bee pieces to show you, whereas what I probably should have brought down is a couple of other boxes. So I do have two other boxes that I finished. I've got more boxes to make, and I'll show you a new FlossTuber that I've been watching, and I've already managed to pinch some inspiration from them. So a couple of other ones that I've finished is just this little small one, and I have a feeling this is by Hands-On Design, and I'll see if I can find the name of the chart and put it down below. It is just a little box top finish, and when I do a box top finish, if I don't put pom-pom around it, what I do tend to do is put a little bit of chenille just in between the gap, because these boxes don't have a rebate, you are just sort of sticking on top, so I like to just put a little bit of chenille in the gap so it's not such a big obvious gap. So there's that little one there, which is probably about 4 inches across maybe. And then there is this one, which is a Teresa Kogut stitch. It's on a piece of fabric that I hand dyed myself, but other than that, I think it's a 32 count. It looks like a 32 count. This I know was on her Patreon, but I don't know if it's been released out in any kind of published format, a book or a standalone chart. So yeah, that was my Merry Christmas, and I have still got the two smaller boxes. Ooh, forgot they were in there. What have we got? A random selection of needle minders. That's where they went. I have got one smaller box inside in order to do some extras. Now, one lady had commented about what I'd meant by a shaker box. So a shaker box is just the name given to this kind of bent wood box style, and it normally has these sort of overlapping fingers on it that have got usually some kind of copper pins in them. And depending on the maker of the box, now in America these are very, very popular, and there are some very prolific, lovely makers of them. And they will have their own patterns to go there. So some have those long sort of finger-like tines, some of them have just sort of small overlapping parts to them. But yeah, that's the idea of a shaker box. It's basically a bent wood box, or certainly that's my understanding of what a shaker box is. Right, so I thought you'd like to see those. Now, if you think that Michelle's hair looks greyer than normal and are slightly more glittery, you might be right, because Ness and I decided that for the half-term holiday we were going to add some hair tinsel. Now I've just put in a few strands of silver just to complement the silver. Ness has got all sorts of bright colours in her hair. It looks fabulous, she loves it. So yeah, that's what you can see glinting. It is not your eyes. Right, I'm going to show you a little bit about what I've worked on this week, and I'm going to show you my finish too. So I'll save you my finish just for a minute because I want to talk a bit more about that. I had one non-stitchy day this week, which is a bit of a crime. Week before half term, lots of things to get done at school, so yeah, one non-stitchy day, but I can cope with that. Talking of school, this is what I have been stitching in school for probably the past year. And I've done most of it in the last week. Generally speaking, there really isn't time at school for stitching. I get a lunch break, but usually it's not my own. Students come for help, other members of staff come. It's not a sort of sitting down time. Although this time of year, things do calm down a little bit with the exam classes going. So as I said, I've had this going for about a year and I've probably done 90% of what I'm going to show you in the last week. So this is called Santa and Cardinal Birdhouse by Mill Hill. Now I'm hoping to add to my collection of Mill Hills next weekend when I go up to see Chris at the Nimble Thimble and Mary at Create Nostalgia. And this is where I am. So let's put it that way around so that you can see. This is where I am. So as I said, I think I've probably done 90% of that in the last week. I think I had that and that there. But they are really nice things to stitch. And it should be, this time of year, quite a nice sort of school project to have. But what I'll probably end up doing is, now I've got this one here, I'll probably end up maybe finishing this one this week, and taking one of the smaller ornament ones back in after half term. So I shall put Skyhooks already. Needs a little project bag is what it really needs. Right, okay. The other thing that I've worked on quite a bit this week is the stitch along from Caterpillar Cross Stitch, which is called Birthday Botanicals. Now there are two parts out at the moment. This is the one with the flowers on it. So we had 3 flowers last month, which were the daffodil, the delphinium larkspur and a daisy. And then now we've got snowdrop, violet and rose. So this is the, as it says, Birthday Botanicals, so the flowers of the month. So this is where I am. I swapped out my fabric for a 36 count Fox and Rabbit Cyclone Sky from a from their Fabric of the Month Club. Now the brown is showing, or it's actually a purple in it, is showing much more strongly than it actually is in the naked eye. So it's probably somewhere close to there. So I've done the larkspur, which I had before. I put the daffodil in this week. The daisy goes here. These are the little violets, and then the snowdrop goes here. So I'm going to have plenty of space on here. Part of me is toying with putting the Latin names at the top, or the scientific names I should say, because they're not all Latin names, at the top of all the flowers. So maybe 6 at the top and 6 at the bottom. We shall see. We shall see how these things go. I have had a lot of plans this week, none of which have really come to fruition. So let's just take things as they come, shall we? Now, the other thing that I had hoped to have finished was the drum, which is going to go with my On the Marking of Linens release, which I'll show you again in a minute when I get round to actually releasing it. So I've done a bit more on the band at the bottom of the drum, and I've put a few more of the crowns and coronets in, and that's what it's going to say at the top, crowns and coronets, and I'm going to make it into a drum. Because I said I wanted it to go with this piece as well. Now, my finish. I had really wanted to frame this up ready for today, but if there's one thing that I know about finishing and FFOing projects, is that if you're rushing and you're not quite in the right frame of mind for it, it's the worst thing that you can try and do. So I knew I wanted to try and finish this and frame it today. Got the frame, but the day just didn't pan out. So rather than rush it and ruin it, which I've done before, I thought, let's put your sensible head on the shell and just show it as it is for today. So this is Emma Goldthorp. I talked you through this sampler a couple of weeks ago and the various different bands and what I could see from her learning to stitch this sampler. So it says Emma Goldthorp was born May the 31st, 1802 and worked this in the 9th year of her age, 1811. So this is the original. Have a quick look. It is looking a little bit bedraggled, but it is stitched in silk and a mixture of kind of much more neutral colours with the odd blue and green thrown in. Now, I have found Emma Goldthorp and I found her family. So I want to tell you a little bit about Emma and her family. So Emma was the 7th of 9 children born to Samuel Goldthorp and his wife Anne Saville. And they lived in the Hartshead, Clifton area of Yorkshire. And he is recorded in the 1841 census, which is the first census, as being a card maker. Now, I have a website that I absolutely love, and it goes through all of the Victorian professions. All of these weird and wonderful professions that you never knew existed. Now, when I saw card maker, I just thought, makes card, that's fairly simple. But actually, it's either someone who makes the handheld carders for wool, so those used to sort of straighten the fibres out and, card the wool, basically. Or somebody who makes playing cards. Now, I haven't been able to find out which. I probably need to look in one of the sort of directories, the trade directories, to try and work out which it was. But it could be either of those two things at this point in time. Now, I looked up this family and I spent quite a lot of time looking up this family because they are a little bit unusual, not in their lives, but really in their deaths. So Emma was born in 1802 and she was the 7th child to be born. When I looked at all the ages, Samuel, the father, actually outlived 6 of his 9 children. And they didn't die early, they all died in their 30s and 40s, for the most part. And this is one of the first families that I've ever actually looked up their death certificates for. So if you go onto the GRO, the General Record Office, you can look up the death certificates of people that you're trying to research family history for. And there's several different ways in which you can get that information. You can either have a physical copy of it sent to you, you can have a PDF sent to you, or you can get just a digital image of the death certificate. The reason I wanted to look up these death certificates was because I wondered if there was perhaps some kind of genetic disease in the fact that they all seem to be passing away at a similar time. Now, you can't necessarily get all of them. The records don't start till 1837, so you can't get death certificates any earlier than 1837, so it rules some of them out. And you can't get the digital file for all of them. You do have to pay. I think a paper copy is about £12.50, a PDF is about £8, and a digital record is £3. You can't get all of them. There are some gaps, but it really helps to just try and puzzle things out sometimes. So I'm just going to go through her brothers and sisters and let you know kind of what happened to them. So the eldest, Sarah Goldthorp, she died in 1837, age 44. She had married and had children, but she died age 44. Eleanor or Ellen Goldthorp died in 1835, aged 41. Robert Goldthorp died in 1836, aged 41. He was a wine and spirit and seed merchant in Tadcaster. I managed to find him. Anne Goldthorp died in 1813, aged 17. Zilia died aged 59 in 1857, so she lived to be quite a good age. Samuel Goldthorp the younger died in 1839, aged 38. Emma Goldthorp died in 1840, aged 38. Henry Goldthorp died in 1850, aged 46. And Savile Goldthorp died in 1877, aged 63. So only 2 of them actually made it out of their 40s. Now I know that folks died a lot younger then, but that's unusual. That is unusual. So the father, Samuel Goldthorp, as I said, he died in 1845. So he lived longer than 6 of his children. His wife, Anne, died in 1838. So I put these years in order. So there was a death in this family in 1813, 1835, 1836, 1837, 1838, 1839, 1840, and then 1857 and 1877. So by anyone's standards, that is really quite a streak of sadness really in the family. I couldn't manage to find, as I said, the death certificates for all of them, but I did manage to look them up in the newspaper archive, which is always a really good thing to look into. You can find out some really interesting things on there. It is a paid for subscription, but it's really interesting. All I can find for Eleanor is that she died after a long illness. Robert died after what they said was a lingering illness. Samuel died after a general decline. So it seems like that they weren't well. They weren't a well family, but I don't know quite what the root cause of it was. Now, back to our lovely Emma. Now, Emma actually committed suicide. And when I do release this chart, I will be donating 10% of the profits from this chart to the Samaritans. It tells me on her death certificate exactly what happened, which I don't want to reveal. And in the newspaper archive it does. So I'm going to give you an abridged version. So this is from, I've forgotten to write down the newspaper, I think it's the one from Halifax. It says, on Tuesday last, the inhabitants of the usually peaceable village of Clifton were considerably agitated and alarmed by a report that Miss Emma Goldthorp, a highly esteemed and reputable lady, had committed suicide, and unfortunately the report was but too true. It appears that Miss Goldthorp had lastly been in a desponding state, and on the morning of Tuesday she had left her bed between 6 and 7. I'm not going to read the rest out. An inquest was held on the body the following day, and a verdict of temporary insanity returned. So that is a really, really sad end to Emma. She wasn't married. She didn't have any children, and just finding out that information about her has just, well, when I first read what had happened to her, I nearly burst into tears, bless her. So just thinking back all that time ago, nearly 200 years, about Emma going through some real difficulties in her life. Now, if you think about the number of people that she'd lost in such a short space of time, she had lost somebody really close to her in each one of the 5 years previous to her own death. So it's brings it all the more real. So as I said, when this chart is released, I will be donating 10% of all the profits to the Samaritans, who If you're not familiar, Samaritans are a charity that run a helpline that anybody can call at any time of the day in order to access someone to talk to and some support. And actually members of my family have worked for the Samaritans over the years. So yeah, 10% of all the profits from Emma will be going there in her memory. Right, well, it's a little bit hard to change tack after that story, but I want to move on to some really, really positive things. Lovely people in our lovely community. So I have been finding, actually, some of them through Pam, some of them through just slight change in the algorithm, I'm guessing. Found two lovely FlossTubers that I want to shout out. The first one is Mary's Stitching Corner. Now, Mary has got some fabulous projects. She's a really prolific stitcher and she has all these fabulous projects with fabulous finishes. And actually, she is somebody who I have found a new circle. I want to stitch something else circular because I do have some more of these boxes. So she had stitched a project that was circular. Now, I'd seen it when it came out. It's from the Cross Stitcher magazine. And it's called Snow Place Like Home by Lucy Heaton. So I'm going to put a picture of it up here. Now, she had stitched hers on a fabulously like stormy grey colour and it looked amazing. So I had saved this project when it first came out and it put me back in mind of it. So I shall be stitching that to go on top of another box. Now, the other person that I'd like to shout out is Sarah from Champagne and Stitches. Now, we know in life there are things that do not make any sense. This is one of them. Sarah has got 7 FlossTubes out and 200 subscribers. That is utterly ridiculous. Her FlossTubes are amazing. They are filmed and edited by her husband, who I think is Steven Spielberg, because they are so professional. She's so professional. Her projects are amazing. You can see everything so clearly. She describes everything brilliantly. When I saw she only got 200 or just under 200 subscribers, I was gobsmacked because she is incredible, incredible. So please, please go along and watch her. Give her some love, like and subscribe. You will not be disappointed. Like I said, anybody that's got filming a FlossTube with different camera angles and, you know, you can see what's going on the desk and she's showing you all these things. Oh my word. Oh my word. My ghast was flabbered. Right. Now, talking of amazing FlossTubers, Christina from Whilst Iris Naps, my lovely friend Christina, has got a new release out called Helen Monroe, which obviously you can have as a drum too, because Christina, like I, loves a good drum. So go along and watch her FlossTube. She takes you all the way through the beauty that is Helen Monroe. Now, she's been talking to me about Helen for quite some time, and she details in her FlossTube this amazing coincidence that she finds out that links her family and Helen's. I won't tell you the details. I won't spoil the surprise. But Christina also likes to go and have a little look around where the girls are from. So she does take a little trip to Falkirk as well. So something to look forward to there. Go and watch her if you haven't already. Right, let's do a freebie. Now, the printer is in its pink era. This is by Old Barn Stitching Company, which is Sammy from Lizzie Little Loops and... Oh, I can see her face. I can't think of her name. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'll put it down the bottom. Oh, did I nearly have it then? No. This is their spring cushion set. And believe it or not, these are some little blue tip type birds, although they've got a bit of a pink wash on them. There's a house and there's an S for spring. Now, this is part of a series. I know that they've released winter and autumn. Deb is the other lady. They've released winter and autumn. So this is spring. So hopefully summer will be coming really soon and you will have 12 little pin cushions to put out for your seasonal stitching. So there's those. I didn't think that was going to come for a minute then. Right, now on to some purchases that I have made. It would appear that I've won the lottery, you would think, by the number of things that seem to have been coming through my door. Not just stitchy related, but yes, I've just been on a bit of a spendy. I think it started, Nessa's got a little overground pool and it needed all new chemicals, so they were ordered, and then this was ordered, and then hair tinsel was ordered, and then all sorts of things have just been ordered. You know how it goes sometimes. So the first thing that I have purchased, I can't really show you. It is the Modern Folk Embroidery Evertote Roxy Floss Co collaboration, which is the group of smalls. Now I'm going to put a picture up here. This is a pre-order only at the moment. You can pre-order the fabric, the threads, and choose each of 3 colours. There's a black, blue and a red. The picture would be shown in the red, and the chart. So I have just pre-ordered the chart because I've got quite a lot of linen and threads. I'm gonna sort of strike out on my own on that, but I've pre-ordered the chart. So that is coming out sometime June, July time. Now, Jacob is going to be doing a series of videos to help you to construct these smalls. Because as you can see, some of them look very, very fancy indeed. So I have jumped on that really, really quickly, and I cannot wait to be part of, ooh, fly. Jeepers creepers. It's probably because the windows are open upstairs and every insect in Pembrokeshire's in here. Anyway, so yeah, I've jumped on that and I will be starting that as soon as I possibly can. Right, I have also got my latest fabric from West Green Loft Yarns, which is called Harriet. So if you excuse the rustling, I love a rustle though. Good things come from a rustle. This is Harriet, which is a beautiful colour. There we go. I really enjoy being in that club. The fabrics are always really, really great. I switched my fabric from a 32 count last year to a 36 count this year. Because I was just, oh, now it's stuck to everything. Chuck it on the floor. I was just finding I was using 36 count more than I was using 32 count. I had said to you last week that I had also ordered another berries set. So this is the Erica Michaels Quaker Wisdom Berries. So live simply, expect less, give more. And I have also picked up some Thundercloud Lady Dot Creates rickrack as well. That's one thing I want to have a go at dyeing, is like rickrack and things like that. I'll have to investigate. I also got this on a stash unload. Now, I just love that one. Prudence Greybill Needlewoman, plain and fancy work. I love that. And then there's a sort of a Collins Inn tavern as well. Now, I just wanted to check something. So this is by Carriage House Samplings. Now, it's quite interesting because the chart here actually doesn't say Prudence Greybill. It's left completely blank for your own. But I really quite want to put Prudence Greybill on it because that was one of the things that attracted me. I just love that name. Prudence Greybill. Fabulous. So I'm quite confident that I am going to put Prudence Greybill on there. Love that. And then I also had ordered from Canny Little Fox another home case, and this was, she had a parade of Halloween fabrics that you could pick, and there was a fat quarter of this still left behind, so I asked her to make me one of these. So for those of you who aren't familiar, this is what they look like inside. So you've got different pockets here. It doesn't come with scissors, but it does come with the little rings and clips up here. A little sort of almost like a thread bed, somewhere for your needles. And then you've got a pocket here for your charts, and then your main pocket here for your stitch work. Now obviously your threads are meant to hang up on here, but this is my Halloween crystal ball here by Tiny Modernist, and I'm so close to finishing it, and my threads are in a right old state, so I just chucked them all in there. But this is going to be my Halloween project bag. So as soon as I've finished, the crystal skull, not the crystal skull, the crystal ball, I'm going to put another project in here and then just keep that as my Halloween, my current Halloween stitch. I've got more than one, but anyway. This is the latest from Fox and Rabbit. Now I said last week that this one would arrive really quickly after the last one. This is, now I'm pretty sure everyone will have theirs by now, pumice. So it's like a, well, it is a grey, it's not like a grey, it is a grey, but it's almost got a slight purple cast to it, but not hugely. A warm grey, I would say, a warm grey. And then that flipping Stuart's been muddling in my bank account again. He was asking how people store their threads, and then he went to show how he stores his threads. So my threads, which are my fancy flosses, I'm quite happy with the way I store them. I have them on rings by Dyer. And I'm quite happy just to look through, because when it comes to floss storage, I am pulled in two different directions. The first direction is having them all nicely organised. The second direction is I really can't be asked to put these back away. So my floss storage has to be not so complicated that I can't put things away really easily. So my floss storage was just little Ziploc bags, and I had numbered them 0 to 100, 100 to 200, 200 to 300, and so on. You get the drift. And so all I've got to do is just put them back in the right bag. And then when I'm looking for a floss, it's not too much of a chore to just look through a bag, because you know what colour you're looking for, you know if it's going to be a blue or a green or a pink, and so to just look through a little bag, it's fine. However, Stuart then put the cat among the pigeons when he showed his set, which are in here. Now, my box is like one of the slightly bigger what you call lock and lock boxes. So it takes up probably twice the space of this, maybe a bit more. So when I saw that he'd organised his in there, I thought, well, that's a great solution. And this was about £15 on Amazon. So it wasn't, you know, a Mirabilia kit or anything like that. But he is going to join in with it. We're starting it on the 31st of May. So if anybody else has never stitched a fancy lady and would like to join our Virgin Lady sale, or my Virgin Lady sale, because Stuart's stitched plenty of them, then I'm starting on the last day of May. But if anyone would like to join in whenever you can, then please do. Anyway, so back to this. It comes with 16 of these boxes, which are just the right length for a DMC skein. Now, my DMCs are a bit of a mixture of skeins, of floss drops, of what do you call them things, bobbins. So I still think that actually these will fit perfectly. And as I said, I've got 16 boxes. So I just need to work out what the sort of numbering should be per box to get everything to fit in to there. But I think that will be easier and a better use of the space as well. So that is it from me. Now, I had said that I wasn't necessarily going to film next week, but I think what I'm going to do is what I did a couple of weeks ago and film early so that I can release it on Sunday, because I do want to show you the lovely Emma Goldthorp finished up, and I do want to show you my finished drum for the crowns and coronets. So I shall see you next week. I shall be at the retreat, and I shall see many of you at the retreat. So if you're planning on going to the Wrexham retreat this weekend, then please just leave me a message that I know that you're going, and then do come and say hi when we're there. And yeah, I'll see you next week. Stay classy, Stitchers.